Hello everyone, and welcome back to Code Realize. Yep, song, Future Blessings. I don't want that to show up on I don't want that to show up under copyright, although it might, I guess. I don't think there's a song in the beginning of Sholmes, but we are going down a different route today. We are going down not an after story. We are going down the Herlock Sholmes route. A tale that might have happened told from the perspective of Sherlock Holmes. Herlock Sholmes, sorry. I forgot. He's not Sherlock. He changed his name. I didn't realize it was from his perspective, though. I could have sworn I was reading it from Cardia's, but I guess we'll see.
人は生まれながらにして孤独ではない。なぜかなど問うまでもないだろう。父、母、祖父、祖母、遠い先祖。この世に何のつながりもなく生まれる存在など、ただの一人としてありはしないのだから。そして、これは何も生まれた時に限った話ではない。家族、友人、仲間、同僚。人間は生きる上でさまざまなつながりと無縁ではいられない存在。そう。いわば、人は人とのつながりによって生きている。だからこそ、死に際の恐怖は美しいのだよ。君も想像してみるといい。自分の命が尽きるその瞬間を、もし次に意識が途絶えたら、もう二度と目覚めることがない。一生にただ一度きりしか味わえない。すべてを失い、永遠の孤独に落ちていく恐怖。それは、人とのつながりが多いほど、人生が充実していればいるものほど、より重く、より恐ろしく感じるもの。いわば、その人間が送ってきた人生と同じ重さの恐怖と絶望。これ以上に美しいものはない。そうは思わないかね、名探偵。
ご考説ありがとう、犯罪者。興味深く拝聴させてもらったよ。
Criminal.
しかし残念なことに、君と私では少々意見を異にするようだね。
ほう。では君は、誰かの人生が終わる瞬間の感情は尊くないとでも言うのかね。
いいや、君の美意識がいかに歪んでいようと、その点に文句をつけるのは不毛だろう。私が言いたいのはそこではない。君は人生が充実しているものほど死の恐怖が恐ろしいと言っていたが、本当に充実した人生を送った人間はむしろ安らかに人生の幕を下ろすものさ。命が尽きることに恐怖を覚える者はまだ成し遂げていないことがあるもの。自らの未来が理不尽に奪われてしまう、その悲しい事実に最も恐怖するのだよ。例えば君のような犯罪者の手によってね。今ここで 私は君に裁きを下すよ。死の美しさを望むのであれば、自分の死で幕を引くといい。
残念だよ。君とはいい友人になれそうな気がしていたのだが。
それは不可能というものだよ。君が犯罪者である限りはね。
探偵と犯罪者、追う者と追われる者、私たちは最も縁遠い存在か。いいだろう。これで決着というのも寂しい話だが、君が望むならそれもまた一興だ。
さあ始めよう、犯罪者。事件が探偵を呼ぶのか、それとも探偵が事件を呼ぶのか。どちらにせよ探偵とは事件から離れられない存在だと私は思う。例えば婚約者を殺された男の復讐から始まった事件。インドに端を発する財宝にまつわる事件。ある一族に伝わる魔剣の伝承をめぐる事件。私はこれまで数多くの事件に携わり、その裏に潜んだ闇を暴いてきたが、そんな私の事件簿の中でも先日の一件はなかなかに印象深いものだった。仮に名前を付けるとしたら、そう、トレインスナッチ事件とでもしておこうか。ロンドン中央部ウォータールー発北部ダーリントン行き最終列車。あの日私が駅に居合わせたのは、犯人たちにとっては不幸な偶然だったと言えるだろう。私の名はエルロック・ショルメという。以後お見知りおきを。政府特務機関黄昏の長フィーニスを彼の乗る列車ごと誘拐する。そんな大胆不敵な犯行に関わっていたのは、素性を探れば実に興味を惹かれる面々だった。世紀の大泥棒アルセーヌ・ルパン、天才技師インピー・バービケーン、英雄エイブラハム・バン・ヘルシング、フランス貴族サン・ジェルマン、元宮廷錬金術師にして爆破テロ犯ビクター・フランケンシュタイン。そしてルパンの弟子を名乗る不思議な雰囲気を持つ少女。各方面で名を馳せた面々の中で、無名の少女の存在は異彩を放っていた。興味が出て事件の後に調べてみたが、彼女の素性については謎に包まれたまま。私がようやく彼女の名前を知ったのは、また別の事件の時だった。 カルディア。まるで鳥かごの中で育てられたような、あまりにも無垢で透明な少女。だがその辺の貴族の家で生まれ育った箱入りの令嬢であるはずがない。彼女の目は深い孤独を知る目だ。凪のように揺らぎのない水面の奥で思いも願いも押し殺してしまった瞳。果たして彼女はどういった経緯を経てルパンたちと行動を共にしているのか。その胸の奥に何を抱えているのか。それを知りたいと思ってしまうのは探偵の性だろうか。今後彼女の人生と私の人生が交わる時が来るかはわからないが、もしもう一度会う機会があったならぜひ彼女に聞いてみたい。君はなぜそんなにも。
That was a really long intro. It was like 11-minute intro. Hopefully I can get my mic to be loud the whole time. I'm working with not really a new setup, but I have moved my computer so my microphone is on the opposite side of me. And I'm trying to get it angled right to where every time I speak, it's loud enough for OBS to pick it up without having to like adjust my gain filter a whole bunch, because I don't want it to peak out whenever I get really loud, but I also want it to pick me up when I'm quiet. My steps feel heavy. My heart is still torn asunder. With every step I take, the mansion where I've spent my days with Lupin and the others draws further away. So it is still from Cartier's perspective, but it's I think Sholmes telling the story instead of her. I'm scared. I was afraid. Afraid of how those whom I spent so much time with had discovered my true identity. Of how those kind, gentle people might see me as a monster. I think this is after she goes to this is after the common route where she discovered who she is and she tries to run away. And I think no one goes after her in this one, obviously, so she can run into Sholmes. It's more heart-rending and painful than anything else in the world for me right now. I've been living alone for so long with the deadly poison gem horologium embedded in my chest, without loving anyone, without touching anyone. I spent days alone in the mansion following father's instructions. But one day my world turned upside down. By the hands of a single gentleman thief. Brought over to steal London by Lupin and MP, I met so many people. Meeting Victor and Van Helsing, day-to-day life at St. Germain's mansion, learning so much from everyone, staring great challenges in the face. Those were dear days spent together with friends for the first time in my life. You must never know love. You must live in isolation. It's not that I forgot my father's instructions, but before I knew it, something occurred to me. I could spend my time here. This is where I belong. But, as if to punish me for those thoughts, I was forced with a confrontation. The cruel truth that was revealed at Fallow's underground lab.
なんだ、覚えてないの？ここは姉さんにとって何より大切な場所なのに。
Even now I can hear my little brother's voice ringing deep in my ear.
やだな、姉さん。僕が今そう教えたじゃないか。そうだよ。姉さんは人間じゃないんだ。
He thrust at me the truth that I didn't want to know.
作られた怪物なんだよ。
Okay, I thought I heard some weird squeaking outside. I was like, please don't tell me, like, The trucks are moving around outside my window. Don't want to listen to it. Stop. Nearby pedestrians stare at me with their dubious faces as I raise my voice and shake my head. It's when I realize the mansion is already far away. Though it's midnight, I had stepped into the slums where the bustle is the same as it would be if noon.
ちょっと君、大丈夫かね？
You're not, Sholmes. Yes, I'm fine. I'm just feeling a little under the weather. I brace myself, seeing a soldier who called out to me. He just looks at me and nods in a composed manner.
そうか、それならいいが、今この先は危険だから、あまり近づかない方がいい。
Can't the same be said for anywhere in the slums. I remember St. Germain explaining it to me when he showed me around the city. This is Whitechapel, one of London's biggest red light districts. This region, popular with the working class, is quietly permitted by the British government and generally free of soldiers. Regardless, raising my head, I see the other British soldiers mixed among the crowd. Even from my limited perspective, I can see 3 or 4 in plain sight. Why is that, I wonder?
いや、治安が悪いのは事実だが、今はまた少し事情が違っていてね。
I was like, maybe they're off duty.
連日新聞を騒がしている切り裂きジャックの話は聞いてないかい？
Yeah, this is in the timeline of Alistair, Van Helsing, and Jack the Ripper. That's where Alistair Sholmes was most present, I think.
女性ばかりを標的にした連続殺人犯で、現在判明しているだけでその犠牲者は10名を軽く超えている。ヤードが一度は捕獲しかけたんだが、そのまま逃走されてしまい、この衛兵長以下、我々兵士まで動員されて、奴の潜伏先と目されているこの仮想街を捜索している真っ最中というわけだ。
So that's why there's so many soldiers.
ああ、そういうことだ。さあ、分かったらこんなところにいないで、早く帰りなさい。
I cast my eyes down as the kind soldier returns to his duties. Go back home. I no longer have anywhere to call home in London. On the other hand, even if I wanted to return to the mansion in Wales, I'm not sure if I can afford the train ticket. I sigh and look up at the sky and feel a single cold drop touch my cheek. Rain? As if in response, the sky's tears gradually fall harder. I have to find cover. As if driven off by the rain, I begin to walk aimlessly through the street shrouded in the foggy rain. Why would you go into the sewers, though, out of all places? But there are very few places in the slums where one can take shelter from the rain. Like a chased rat, the place where I find refuge is the sewers that run through the underground of the city. Gloomy, stagnant air and a putrid stench surrounds me. Perhaps I might be able to find a better place if I look hard enough, probably. But I'm exhausted at this point and opt to sit against the wall and rest. Burying my head between my knees, I listen to the sound of the water. I feel as though I've returned to my old life at the mansion in Wales. If only I didn't desire human contact. If only I just obediently stayed in my house like Father commanded. Then I wouldn't have had to bear such painful emotions. The life with Lupin and the others was too warm. So much so that it was unfit for the likes of me. What do I do now? I left without telling anyone. I wonder if everyone is worried about me. Maybe Lupin and the others will still accept me even if I am a monster. They might forgive me and tell me that I can stay. I think that's what it's supposed to say. But
そうだよ、ここにいなよ。ママの代わりにお前が死ねばよかったのに。
I became so close to her. I thought that I was even able to bond with her. But in the end, Eddie's eyes of hatred began to block out every single ray of hope. If it was Lupin and the others I heard those words from, that would probably be the end of me. No, I can't go back. But just imagine how much Lupin loves you. We've seen in every single route how much Lupin cares for you. I'm about to put my head back down when I begin to hear the metronomic sound of footsteps. Someone's there?
おや
Oh, yeah?
自ら祈りを捧げにやってくるとは敬虔な子羊もいたものですね。
Yep, you found yourself trouble again. Appearing from the darkness is a man who can only be described as eerie. An outfit entirely out of place for somewhere like this. A strange mask that hides his expression. And above all else, the scissors that emit a perilous glimmer striking into me an indescribable fear.
我が神殿へようこそ、お嬢さん。歓迎いたしますよ。
Prayer? Shrine? What is this? As I contemplate the intentions of his words, I slowly take steps backwards. I've encountered numerous dangerous situations before, my experiences giving me a clear signal, and this heavy smell reminiscent of rust. Covered all over him are signs of blood.
ああ、震えているようですが、恐れる必要はありませんよ。あなたはどうやら汚れを知らぬ身。ならば、儀式を急ぐことはないでしょう。神の名において浄化されるべきものには、しかるべき理由があるのですから。ほら、耳を澄ませてごらんなさい。
Any second now. He makes a small mutter at the back of his throat as he stares at me playfully. Any second of what? Without letting my eyes off the masked man, I listen carefully, blending with the sound of the foul wind that passes through the trickle of running water sewer. That was undoubtedly the muffled sound of a woman's muffled scream. I said that word twice. What was that? Answer me. What are you doing back there? Who are you?
私はこの汚れた世界を浄化しているのですよ。つまり私は偉大なる神の使い、正義の執行者。まあ世間では切り裂きジャックとそう呼ばれているようですがね。
He's the one that the soldier mentioned earlier. The ruthless killer that only targets women, with at least 10 victims so far. My instincts kick into motion the second I hear the name. I will. Dang it, I forgot to pull up the choices. 1 second. Okay, so right away we're going to create a save file. And on chapter 1, we're going to shoulder tackle him and escape. Quick. And so for the first one, we're going to shoulder tackle him and escape. Even if I run him up against a man of unknown abilities, not to mention this is his domain. Gathering my thoughts, I take a breath, brace myself, and then I quickly turn and kick off the floor with a hard breath, trying to catch Jack off guard.
追いかけっこですか。いいでしょう。そう来なくては。
He likes tag. His voice chases me as I run. The sound of the 2 pairs of footsteps make disturbing echo through the closed-off space. Before, when he was teaching me the basics of thievery, Lupin had complimented me on my leg strength. He told me I had stamina, so I would be able to escape from most people. He doesn't skip leg day. But he also said this. When running away, I mutter as I clench my fist and slam both feet on the ground like brakes. With the force of my sudden stop, I focus more and more strength into my legs. Catch the opponent off guard. Run and then turn around and tackle him. As I turn, I ram Jack's body with my shoulder. One of the techniques that Van Helsing had taught me was a tackle, putting all my weight into and speed behind it. I began to run from the scene once more as Jack was sent flying backwards. Now's my chance. I doubt I was able to defeat him with just that, but it should buy me some time. All I can do is run through the dimly lit sewer as fast as my legs will carry me. To have wandered into the sewers while in a state of shock may not have been my best move. If only I had properly checked my surroundings, I could have at least figured out an escape route. I can only wonder how much time has passed since I began running. I come into a wider area of the sewer and finally let out a breath. If I run this far, I'm sure...
鬼ごっこは終わりですか?
Is it over already? Oh no. Swing my arm as if to shake off the sound of the scissors I hear next to my ear. But I'm immediately slammed to the floor and the air is knocked out of my lungs.
言ったでしょ? ここは私の神殿だと。横道や抜け道のすべてを把握しているのは私ただ一人。先回りなど造作もないことです。ああ、まったく嘆かわしい。汚れを知らぬ身であれば神のご慈悲もあったでしょうに。それを自ら棒に振るとは。
You go on about God's graces, but aren't you just a killer? You're going to kill me eventually, even if I didn't try to run.
予想以上に聡明ですね、お嬢さん。ですが、先ほども言ったはずですよ。これは人殺しではなく浄化だと。
How is that any different?
それに人殺しなどとあなたに言う資格はないのでは。
As if to agitate my fear even further, Jack brings his face closer to mine. His eyes that shine behind the mask are filled with a cloudy red light. What do you mean?
人の死を間近で見続けてきたせいか、わかるんですよ、私には。あなたも人を殺したことがある。違いますか、お嬢さん。
The moment I hear those words, my readied arms lose their strength.
やはり図星でしたか。虫も殺さぬ顔をしておいて。私を人殺しと罵るのであれば、あなたも死んで罪を償うべきでは。
The memories of my sin overflow from the corners of my mind. Because I desired physical contact with others. Because I relied on that kindness. The sin of how I killed the kindest person still hangs over me.
参考に教えてくれませんか。あなたはどうやって殺したんです？刺殺ですか？絞殺ですか？それとも射殺、撲殺、惨殺、焼殺、圧殺、毒殺。
Poisoning, there you go.
ほら、黙ってないで教えてよ。どうやって殺したのかをさ。
You are so loud. As the merciless blade seeped in madness dances before me, I feel resignation in the back of my head. What reasons do I have to resist? If I'm a soulless monster, then there's no need to fear for my life. If I must atone for my sins, why not just die here and now? However, why? Why is it that I'm so insistent on living? Before I realize it, my body is already moving on its own. I bite onto the edge of my glove and pull it off and then grab the leg of the man who looked down on me. With this poisonous hand that melts everything. The hideous sensation of burning fabric, melting flesh and bone. Chill runs through me at the feeling of causing harm to another, and I kick him away. Well, he did want to know how you killed people, so... He slams against the wall, his leg horribly burned by my poison, a violent smoke rising from the wound. No longer did he have an objective. He simply rushes at me, frantically swinging his weapon. But by the time I brace myself, a single gunshot tears through the darkness of the underground, tearing away Jack's scissors.
おっと動くんじゃねえ。次は武器じゃ済まねえぞ。
Oh, I'm like, I don't recognize that person.
おうおう、ひょっとしなくてもてめえ、街で噂の切り裂きジャックか？
I know who he is now, though. Seeing him.
悪趣味な仮面で顔を覆ってるなんざ、よっぽど自分の面に自信がねえと見える。悪いことは言わねえ。さっさと負けを認めてそこにうつ伏せになりな。
Who are...
通りすがりの正義の味方って言いたいところだけどな。ただ単に悪い友人の影響ででっけえ事件を追う癖がついちまったごく普通の町医者さ。
Smiles and cocks his gun as he calmly directs it towards Jack.
つうか推理は俺の仕事じゃないんだが、まあこの状況じゃ推理もクソもねえか。現行犯ってやつだな。さーて観念しな変態仮面野郎。このままヤードに突き出してやら。
よくもよくもよくもよくも、ただの町医者が神より下された崇高なる使命を邪魔しようとはありえない。おっと。
Dodging the scissors, the man directs his aim back at Jack. But Jack had already leapt away with his superhuman-like power and glared at us with eyes of deep resentment. He moves in a way that seems wholly incomprehensible with his burned leg.
忘れません。忘れませんよ。この痛み、この苦しみ。この傷はいずれあなたの血をもってあがなわなければならない。
待ちやがれてめえ。
The sound of gunshots in succession shakes the stagnant air. It almost looks as though a few shots hit. But by the time the echo of the gunshots end, Jack has already disappeared into the darkness. Did he get away?
逃げ足の速い野郎だ。
As the man who called himself a doctor lowers his gun, he turns to me.
おう、災難だったな、嬢ちゃん。怪我はねえか？
I'm fine. I answered unconsciously as I back away. I don't know who this man is, but even if I am hurt, I can't let him examine my wound. Thanks so much for your help. That was a close one.
なーに、いいってことよ。礼には及ばねえ。だが、俺がいくら魅力的でも惚れんなよ。俺はあいにくと神さん一筋なんでな。
How would you say that to a random person you just met? How do I put this? It almost feels like an exchange I had with Lupin the first time I met him. Except Lupin doesn't have a wife. Oh yeah. He called himself handsome though. Shaking off the sudden memory, I tell him clearly, don't worry, that won't happen.
おう、そうばっさり言われると、それはそれで傷つくが。
Oh, well, that's what you wanted, right?
ま、それはそれとしてだ。
He slaps his cheeks as if to snap himself out of his apparent sudden discouragement. His expression changes so much that it's almost kind of reassuring to watch him. He seems like the kind of person to give that impression.
ジョーちゃんはなんでこんなとこに？散歩にしちゃ趣味が悪すぎるだろ
I know, right? Why, you ask? Taking shelter from the rain?
う。へえ、雨宿りね。は？雨宿り？下水道で？
Sure. I was taking cover from the rain in the sewers.
あのな、ジョーちゃん。大人をからかうもんじゃねえぞ。
I'm not lying, just I have nowhere else to. My own lack of planning comes back to haunt me once more, and in the end, my words trail off. Now you got him feeling sorry for you. He stares at me as I fall silent. Neither of us move, and hardly a sound can be heard between us. Seeing the man who calls himself the town doctor becomes impatient.
冗談言ってるようには見えねえな。なんだよ、訳ありか。もうそんな顔すんな。捨てられた子犬か、お前さんは。
I mean, she kind of is an abandoned puppy, so.
わかったわかった。もういい。とりあえずうちに来い。
What? But I...
あ？安心しな。別に取って食ったりしねえよ。
I know, your wife's gonna be like, why are you bringing home strange women?
それにさっきも言った通り、俺には愛する神さんがいるからな。若い娘に手出したって知れたら、それこそひっぱたかれちまうよ。おらおら、そうと決まったらついてこい。途中ではぐれちまっても知らねえぞ。
Ah, wait. I may never see the light of day again if I'm left behind here. He doesn't give me a moment or a choice, so I hurriedly follow after him. He's a bit forceful, no doubt, but he doesn't seem like a bad person.
ああ、そうだよ。そういや、名前も聞いてなかったな。ジョーちゃん、名前はなんつうんだ？
Cardia, and you?
俺か？俺はジョン・ヘイミッシュ・ワトソン。よろしくな。
I can hear the singing of birds, the bird song that signifies the arrival of morning. I slowly open my eyes, my eyelids gently caressed by the morning's light, and I'm greeted with the scene that I don't recognize. Where am I? I'm still a bit out of it. Yesterday, you would think that she would be rescued by Sholmes since this is his route, but no. I ran away from St. Germain's mansion. I ended up wandering the city alone. And then I met Jack in the sewers.
よう、お目覚めか、ジョーちゃん。
You're, Watson, was it? Where am I?
なんだよ、まだ寝ぼけてんのか？たく仕方ねえな。ここは俺んち。でもって診療所だ。昨日も言ったが、これでも医者の端くれでな。まあ、ジョーちゃんはつくなり寝ちまったから、覚えてねえのも無理はねえか。
With those words, my thoughts finally catch up to reality. That's right. I was brought here last night after Watson rescued me.
コーヒーは飲めるか？
I can, but unless the dishes here are poison resistant, I only end up melting his cup. I'll pass for now. I appreciate the offer.
うん、そうかい。置いとくから気が向いたら飲みゃいいさ。
He's so cute. He's like, okay, fine, shoot yourself. Steam rises from the coffee, spreading a relaxing aroma throughout the room. Even an everyday thing like that gives me a warm feeling in my chest, and it calms me down somewhat.
さて、一息ついたところで、改めてお前さんの扱いを決めねえとな。今回は成り行きで止めちまったが、できれば家に帰った方がいい。なんかの事情があるにしたって親は心配してるだろ。
How does he think she is? I don't have any parents.
そう、親はいないからきっとお前さんを心配して。って何？親がいない？ うわー、なんだよなんだよ。悪いこと聞いちまった。すまねえな、無神経なことを。
No, it's fine. No harm done. Of those I consider family, father and Phineas are the only two. But right now, I don't even feel like mentioning him as my father. And if I'm a created existence, even less so.
しかし、参ったねこりゃ。想像以上に訳ありってことか。
And he's like, what am I supposed to do with you in my house now? Now you've brought your problems here. I'm sorry for causing you trouble.
いや、ジョーちゃんが謝ることじゃねえんだけど。また厄介ごと引っ張り込んで、こりゃメアリーに何言われるか分かったもんじゃねえな。
Taking my eyes off of Watson, who mumbles to himself, I take a look around. The neat organization of the room is the first thing I notice. If he calls himself a doctor, I suppose it should be no surprise that his living environment is so clean. Then, my attention is drawn to a single picture that decorates the room. In the picture are 3 people. One is Watson. Another is a woman, most likely his wife, whom he had mentioned. And the other one is that?
そいつか。そいつはな、俺の親友だ。シャーロック・ホームズって言ったら、ロンドンでは知らない奴がいない名探偵だったんだぜ。もう死んじまったけどな。
You say Herlock. You say Sherlock? He says Sherlock. He says Sherlock, but there's a guy running around called Herlock. I'm trying to get these straight. He changed his name to like fool people, but I don't know how you can fool people by just like switching a couple of letters. Watson takes a scrapbook from his bookshelf and passes it to me. Among the well-worn pages are newspaper clippings. Mr. Holmes, known as the Great Detective, dies in an accident at Reichenbach Falls. Authorities believe that he fell from the waterfall during his investigation. His chances of survival are slim. I read the article with a frown, which quickly becomes a look of perplexity as I notice a picture of the man's face. Because the man in the picture is, I chose the right one, but since it's not a save, I went back and we're going to choose the man in the portrait to see what happens. He's the man in the portrait. Watson just called him Sherlock Holmes, but for a different reason entirely, this man looks too similar. Far too similar to the man I've met before. Isn't he Sholmes?
Huh?
His clothing and hair is a bit different, but I'm sure it must be. Herlock Sholmes, I met this person not long ago. This person who calls himself a detective.
冗談だろ?
I wouldn't joke about this. He looked exactly alike. If you met him, I'm sure you'd agree. Okay, so we're gonna go up and actually pick Herlock Sholmes. Sholmes. The name comes out of my mouth naturally. Indeed, I wouldn't mistake him from someone else. I've met this person before. He is the young man who claimed he's a detective and stood before us numerous times. Isn't he Sholmes?
Huh?
His clothing and hair is a bit different, but I'm sure it must be. Herlock Sholmes, I met this person not long ago. This person who calls himself a detective.
冗談だろ?
I wouldn't joke about this. He looked exactly alike. If you met him, I'm sure you'd agree.
それ、詳しく聞かせてもらえるか?
Watson suddenly makes a stern expression. I began to explain, concealing some details of the matter. The first time I spoke with him was inside the train headed to Waterloo. The young detective hiding a sharp intellect beneath a gentle attitude and a polite demeanor. His deductive skills are masterful to the extent that he could twist even Lupin around his finger. Even after that incident, every time he showed up, he'd immediately deduce Lupin's intentions. Lupin's nemesis. An opponent to whom we can't let our guard down. That was Herlock Sholmes, the detective I knew.
ヤードと軍の依頼でエルロック・ショルム
He's talking so quiet. Watson falls deep into thought well after my explanation until
ジョーちゃん、ちょっとそこで待っててくれ。すぐに戻る。
He quickly snatches his coat, flings open the door noisily, and darts outside. He's gone. I stand there dumbfounded. To leave someone he doesn't even know all alone in his house. What would he do if my true identity was that of a cat burglar? I'm sure he'd know where to find you. I let out a sigh and look over the picture. You wouldn't be hard to track is what I mean. The man in the picture who resembles Sholmes is smiling as if embarrassed. A face that I've never seen before. A side of Herlock Sholmes that I know nothing about. Now that I think about it, I don't really know much about Sholmes, full stop. I wonder what kind of life the man who made that smile had lived up to now. What is he doing now, and what is he planning to do? I continue staring at the picture for a while as my curiosity piqued. Afterwards, Watson, who returns with an ill-tempered look on his face, takes me for a walk around the city. Watson, what are you doing?
ああ、まあ、ちょっとな。
This and that?
あれだよ。ヤードの知り合いを締めてきただけだ。くそ、レストレードの野郎。
Where are we going?
行きゃわかるよ。
He looks pretty upset. Hesitant to even talk to him while he's so grumpy, I just follow along. Soon we stand before a certain apartment.
ここか。
Do you look him up?
くそ、ベーカー街って。元の事務所のすぐ近所じゃねえか、あの野郎。
Yeah, he totally looked up Sholmes.
おい、ショルメいるんだろ出てきやがれ聞いてんのか、エルロック・ショルメいやシャーロック・ホームズ
やれやれ。
He's like, I've tried to ignore you. Appearing from the door that opened was the same face as the one in the picture. The detective who troubles Lupin at every encounter and the one worthy of being called our nemesis.
ドアは殴りつけるのではなく、ノックするものだよ、ワトソン君。
Sholmes.
君のことだから、いつかはここに来ると思っていたが。ずいぶん珍しい客を引き連れてきたね。こればかりは予想外だ。
Unexpected because you know who she is now. I feel a bit uncomfortable from the small glance directed my way. Should I explain the reason for being alongside Watson? Then, right as I'm about to speak,
てめえ、今までどこ行ってやった
Watson pushes me aside and thrusts his hand at Sholmes with his momentum. Watson, what are you...
おっと。
As Sholmes backs away and sticks his leg out, Watson falls over with great force. Oh, now you're doing it. Tripping him on purpose? That's rude. Ouch. That hurt just to watch.
てめえ、空気読めよそこは黙って殴られろっての
ああ、いや、すまなかった。ついつい反射でね。なんならもう一度やり直すかい？今度は避けないから安心してくれ。
うるせえそれで本当に殴ったら俺が間抜けすぎるじゃねえか変わらねえなホームズ
君もね、ワトソン君。
After they both exchange a brief smile, their expressions turn serious once more.
とはいえワトソン君、君が怒るのももっともだ。だからまずは言い訳をさせてほしい。その後怒るかどうかは君に任せるよ。
上等じゃねえか。しっかり聞かせてもらうぜ。その言い訳とやらをな。
では中に入ってくれ。紅茶でも入れるとしよう。カルディア君、君も入るといい。歓迎とはいかないかもしれないがね。
Alright, excuse me. Upon entering the room, I'm greeted with scattered unorganized luggage and refined furnishings. The sofa that he led me to was comfortably resilient.
ここは現在私が事務所として借りている部屋でね。少々手狭だが悪くない。ゆっくりしていってくれ。
If he says so. Even as Sholmes slowly pours the tea, Watson continues to look considerably upset. Even looking his way is a bit scary, so I throw a question to Sholmes. So, is the name Sholmes a fake name?
ああ、本来の名はシャーロック・ホームズと言うんだ。もっとも、しがない探偵であることは変わりないがね。
よく言うぜ。ロンドン一有名な名探偵が。
それは私の担当した事件を君が面白おかしく装飾して発表したせいだろ、ワトソン先生。
As he held out the fragrant tea with a bitter laugh, Sholmes gently adds some sugar for me.
とはいえ、君の好きな方で呼んでくれて構わないよ。私はシャーロック・ホームズであると同時にエルロック・ショルメでもあるからね。
I see. Then I think I prefer Sholmes. I've been calling him that this whole time, so it just feels more comfortable to me. He makes a light nod and turns to face me again.
しかしカルディア君、私としては君がここにいることが不思議でならないのだが。
She's just tagging along. Oh,
その話は後だ後。散々待たされたんだから先にこっちの話に答えやがれ。これはどういう状況だホームズ。死んだはずのてめえがどうしてここでのほほんと茶なんて入れてやがる。化けて出たっていうなら話は早え。教会まで行って神父を引きずってきてやら。
trying to exercise.
ワトソン君、一見信じがたい現実とてそれを闇雲に否定するのは良くないな。答えは実にシンプル、単純明快なものだ。私は死んでなどいなかった。ただそれだけの話さ。
それがわからねえから聞いてんだろうが。今ふざけてるつもりなら本気でぶっ飛ばすぞってね。
If this is something that's difficult to talk about with me, I can excuse myself.
いや、構わないよ。そこにいてくれていい。
Stopping me as I begin to stand, Sholmes lets out a sigh and begins to talk.
私が死んだと公表している理由、偽名を用いて動いていた理由、それはすべてとある相手を追い詰めるためだ。
He began to explain the truth behind the death of the Great Detective Holmes.
私は以前からずっとある犯罪者を追っていた。政治犯であり、思想犯であり、知能犯であり、殺人犯でもあり、およそこのようにありとあらゆる犯罪に手を染めてきた男。 私の知る限りで最悪の犯罪者。探偵と犯罪者、追う者と追われる者。私と奴は幾度となく対峙してきた。そんな私が奴を追い詰めたのが、遥か海を越えた先にあるスイス、ライヘンバッハの滝。結果から言えば、その時の戦いは引き分けだったよ。死闘の果てに私たちは滝へと落ち、私は遠く下流の岸に泳ぎ着いて九死に一生を得た。だが私が生きていたということは、おそらく奴もまた無事ということ。奴が生きていることを確信した私は、追跡の目をくらますために自らを死んだことにした。そして偽名と狩宿を構え、再び彼を追っていたというわけさ。
Watson didn't speak for several moments after Sholmes' explanation. An outsider like me would have little to offer to this discussion, so I remained silent. Finally, Watson speaks, his voice sounding terribly detached.
で、一番の友人である俺にもそのことを黙ってたってわけか。
ああ、これまでずっと黙っていてすまなかった。しかし万一にも奴に感づかれたくなかったからね。
本当にそれだけか。
それだけとは？
いや、いい。
私からの話は以上だ。次はそちらの話を聞かせてもらいたいね。カルディア君、君はなぜワトソン君と行動を共にしているのかな？
About that.
察するに何らかの事情があってルパンたちの隠れ家からこっそりと抜け出してきたというのは理解できるがね。
I know you don't even need to tell him anything. He can deduce anything just from looking at people. What leads you to think so?
それほど難しい話ではないさ。君の服と靴には雨に濡れてから乾いたような跡があるからね。ロンドンは晴天が続いていたが、昨夜23時前後30分ほど雨が降った。つまりその時間、君は外にいたのだろう。紳士を自称するルパンたちが君をそんな時間雨の中に濡れたまま放置するとは考えづらい。となると勝手に抜け出してきたのではないかと思ったのだが、違ったかな？
That's pretty much it. And not truthfully figuring there's no use trying to hide it. But to deduce that much with just one glance. Other than feeling impressed, far stronger is my sense of fear. Perhaps this man already sees through me even if I don't tell him. That I am a true monster. That I've brought misfortune to someone with this cursed body.
ん？ちょっと待て。今ルパンたちっつったか？ジョーちゃんひょっとしてアルセーヌ・ルパンの一味なのか？
I am, in a sense. Lupin and the others were taking care of me.
はあ、なるほど。だから言いづらそうにしてたってわけか。納得したぜ。
Though he's misunderstanding things slightly, Watson nods at me in agreement.
とはいえ、それなら問題解決だ。相手が泥棒っていうのがなんだが、帰れるところがあるんなら帰った方がいいに決まってる。
Watson is absolutely right, of course. I left that place without telling anyone anything. Regardless of what I'm going to do now, I shouldn't just leave the people who took care of me without an explanation. But even so, I don't actually. This is another save. Yeah, save file 2. I'm gonna say we can't go home. Logic tells me I should return. It tells me that the happiest path would be back in that kind, gentle place. But
そうだよ、ここにいなよ。
I can't go back. Before Eddie's next words inside my head can follow, I weakly shake my head. I can't go back to Lupin and the others yet.
どうも君は私が思うよりもずっと重い事情を抱え込んでいるようだね。その理由を教えてはもらえないか。外部の人間だからこそ話せるようなこともあるだろう。
Holmes's eyes that swallow everything like the deepest sea, stares into me. By no means did he force me, but my lips are already moving as if I'm being pushed to speak. Because that place is too gentle. Everyone there is too kind. I'm a monster. I'm used to being hated by those whose names I don't even know. I'm used to spending my time in solitude interacting with no one. Even so, no, that is why. I fear from the bottom of my heart that being disliked by those who are kind to me. I never want to harm anyone who is kind to me ever again. It's just like the time with Elaine and Eddie. Sholmes and Watson probably have no idea what I'm talking about. That's only natural. This is my past, and my sin. But Sholmes?
耳が痛い言葉だね。
He looks away from me and mutters as if I exposed his own dark past. Sholmes?
気持ちはよくわかるなんて無責任なことは言えないが、君に事情があることは理解したよ。しかし、それで君はこれからどうするつもりなのかな。ルパンたちのところから逃げたとしても、行くあては？ロンドンに知り合いは？
I have no one.
いるぜ、ここにな。
Watson?
おいおい、宿を貸してやった仲だろうに、俺が知り合いじゃねえってか？
Sholmes is also an acquaintance. Watson makes a grin and points his finger at Sholmes.
ついでにここにも知り合いがいるよな。偽名じゃなく本名まで知っちまったんだ。赤の他人とは言わせねえぞ。
Yeah, see? There you go.
やれやれ。
Sholmes shrugs his shoulders in an exaggerated manner. He makes an awkward smile and his face looks far softer than it did earlier.
説得して彼女をルパンたちのもとへ返してあげるつもりだったのだが、まったく余計なことをしてくれる。
よく言うぜ。てめえが困ってるやつを見捨てられるたちかよ。
What do you mean?
まあ要するに行くあてがないならここに泊めてやってもいいって話さ。
What? It's a proposal that I hadn't even considered. Hesitating to answer, my gaze alternates between the faces of the two men. Are you sure?
とりあえずはの話だよ。私が君をここに置くことに反対なのは事実だ。
Letting out a small sigh, Sholmes turns to me.
私は現在、極めて危険な事件の捜査に関わっている。それを知ってなお、君はここにとどまるのかい？
その危険な事件ってのは切り裂きジャックの件か？
ほう。その反応は何か知っているのかな？
Yes, in fact, I was just attacked by him yesterday. Sholmes's eyes narrow. After I explained last night's incident, he frowns with a serious expression.
今言った通り、確かに私は切り裂きジャックの引き起こす一連の事件を追っている。そしてその事件の裏に潜む黒幕についてもね。
You mean someone's pulling the strings behind Jack?
ああ、でなければ説明がつかない。彼がここまで逃げおおせている理由も 捕獲前に逃げ出せた理由もね。
ジョーちゃんは事件に直接巻き込まれた。だったらこれほど有力な手がかりは他にねえよな、名探偵。あ、言っとくが当然俺もお前の助手として調査に関わるからな。異議は認めねえ。
After yet another brief period of silence, Sholmes lets out a sigh.
どうやら君をそばに置く理由がもう一つできたようだね。
よし、決まりだな、決まり。俺も早速荷物持ってこねえとな。
Your belongings? Are you gonna stay here too? It almost feels like we forced this through, but it is true that I got temporary lodging out of it. Are you sure about this?
名義上の家主は私だ。その私がいいと言うならば何の問題もないと思うがね。
Sholmes smiles at me as I quietly adjust my posture and bow. Thank you, Sholmes. I'm really grateful.
どういたしまして、お嬢さん。とはいえ、そうかしこまらなくてもいいさ。行くあてのない女の子を外に放り出しては、紳士を名乗れなくなってしまうだろう。
An elegant bow that reminds me very much of Lupin's. Watson grins as he watches our disclosure.
しかし俺の知らねえうちにホームズがこんな可愛いジョーちゃんとお近づきになってたとはな。ついにお前さんも身を固める気になったか。ああ、いやいや、いいことだ。
He's like rooting for them from the beginning.
よっしゃ、ホームズ、祝杯だ祝杯。輝かしい二人の未来へってな。
ワトソン君、君の考察には私も幾度となく助けられているが、その早急な結論に飛びつく癖は今後推理の妨げになること受け合いだよ。
Girl. The word he spoke echoes in the back of my mind. Technically, they didn't say the word girl, but whatever. These people still treat me like a person, but I can only wonder what they'll say once they find out about the poison within me. It's probably too soon to say. Maybe it's an act, just me averting my eyes from reality, but I want to be a person just for a little bit longer. St. Paul's Cathedral, the majestic cathedral of the Church of England located in central London, a symbol of prayer to God in heaven. But contrary to the principle, the cathedral is presently under the control of the farthest from God's protection. Home of the special intelligence agency known as Twilight, it can be also seen as a symbol of England's dark history. The place houses their very headquarters located beneath this great cathedral.
姉さんがルパンたちの元を離れた？
ああ、確かな筋からの情報だ。先日研究所にて君と会交を果たした後、彼女は彼らの元から姿を消したようだ。
I wasn't sure how much of a role Finnis plays in this because at the end of the common route he's stabbed by Saint Germain and he only comes back in like 2 routes. The rest of them, he is kind of there briefly and then is eliminated. And Helsing's like one of them. But also I failed to mention this like an hour ago whenever I started this, but Sholmes' route takes place after the common route. So if you haven't seen the common route, I failed to mention this earlier, you'll want to go and read my common route before you get to this point, because you're probably not going to have any idea what's going on at this point. And I'll have a link to my playlist up here if I can figure out how to get the cards to show up. I just discovered them yesterday.
ルパン一味は現在血眼になって彼女を捜索しているそうだよ。
それは確かに朗報だ。 たかが泥棒とその一派ではあるけど、厄介な存在には違いないからね。これで姉さんを父様のもとに連れ戻すのも楽になったというものさ。
君が喜んでいるのはそれだけではないのだろう。手を出しやすくなったことより、彼女が自分の居場所を追われてもがき苦しんでいる、そのことが嬉しくてたまらない、そういった顔をしているよ。
余計な詮索はやめなよ、アレスター。そんなざれ言を言う暇があるなら、一刻も早く姉さんを確保する手はずを整えてほしいものだね。
言われるまでもない。引き続き部下には彼女の行方を捜索させているところだ。とはいえ私は少し自由に動かせてもらうがね。
へえ、珍しい。何か気になることでもあったの？
ここのところどうも私個人の周囲が騒がしくてね。少しそちらの対処をしたいんだ。もちろん終わり次第姉君の捜索には参加しよう。
好きにすればいいさ。僕と父様の計画を邪魔しないならね。
The boy who was killed by Saint Germain at the underground facility leaves, his footsteps echoing throughout the cathedral. After seeing off his presence, Alistair soon follows, turning his back to the scene.
悪いがフィニス、私にとってはどうもこちらの方が気にかかる案件なのだよ。そう、私の勘が衰えていないならこの事件の手探り方には覚えがある。これはとても懐かしい気配だ。
I think he's talking about Sholmes. Alright, that is where we are ending this episode today. We're back to chapters now, so I have a definite stopping point for each one instead of trying to guess where I need to stop. Now I have to figure out what I want to do for a CG because the CG they gave me is Watson, and I can't put Watson on the YouTube video and say this is Sholmes's chapter 1 or whatever because it's not him. So I'll have to go through the opening song and find a screenshot there to take. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, drop a like down below and or subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.